There's a bunch of colleges now, so I don't want to start no funk up there. Although, when I was here many years ago, I don't remember folks really wanting a lot of funk with Oaks. I mean, it was way on the edge of it is way on the edge of campus, and it was filled with all these people from like LA and like Oakland and San Francisco, Richmond and Vallejo, and folks would like talk about it and they would call it the ghetto because there was all these people of color there. And I thought that was really funny because, you know, the people saying that ain't never been to no ghetto before. And if you haven't been to a ghetto, you would know that Oaks does not look like a ghetto.
Yeah!
Right? But that's the ill part, right? That, I know I'm gonna spill that. That if there's people of color in any space, it's automatically devalued, right? And you kind of learn that. I mean, a lot of people pick UC Santa Cruz because there's not a lot of people of color in the photos and stuff, or if there is, when folks visit, they don't see that many. It's kind of like the idea of like a good school. Like many people in high school, like, oh, I want to go to a good college, I want to go to a good school. And your mom's like, I want to go to a good school, right? And then it's like, but you've never seen those campuses before, right? So folks are like, I know it's a good school. Why? Because white people say it's a good school, right? Right? And then if you go somewhere and there's a bunch of people of color, you're like, I don't know about this place, right? Because if it was really that good, I mean, how would all these people be here, right? But anyway, sorry, I was a little crazy. But very proud. I'm very proud to be a UC Santa Cruz graduate, and proud to be a banana slug. Proud to be, of course, from Oaks. But I'm proud of all of the colleges and people I've met here, right? I always like to remind people that, you know, I met some of the most brilliant people I will ever meet in my life when I went to UC Santa Cruz, right? It's just they sat next to the most stupid idiots I've ever seen in my life too. So you have this weird combination of like genius, idiot, right? And like you go to the dorms and it'd be like, you know, like in those cartoons, like Bugs Bunny or, that's old school, but anyway, cartoons are like random, you know, each door could have like either an idiot or a genius behind it. And you just kind of never knew, you know what I mean? But in unison, there was like this agreement that, you know, here is like a really great place, and like you try to avoid places like Watsonville, East Side, San Jose, and try to avoid places like Oakland. Like people say, yeah, I drove by Oakland on the freeway. I wouldn't get off the freeway though, right? You'd be like, wow, that's strange for an educated person, or maybe it's not, I don't know. So anyway, my name's Darrick. I'm from Oakland, California, born and raised. And I've been asked to speak a little bit on issues in educational equity. I'm currently an assistant professor at the University of San Francisco in the School of Education. I'm in the Leadership Studies department, so I train and teach educational leaders or people interested in becoming school principals and college administrators and things of that sort. I don't know, I think they're usually shocked to come to the classroom and see me teaching them because, you know, there's an achievement gap, there's an equity problem in education, which means that a lot of people of color don't necessarily make it to spaces where they should be and should have been for a long time. So if you do encounter a very powerful person that is rooted in their identity and progressive, interested in humanization of peoples, and if you find that person in an administrative, faculty, or staff position, be very, very lucky and feel very blessed about that, because you actually operate within an educational system that is not designed to facilitate those people's success, particularly in these institutions. Sound guy, am I ruining this mic a bit? Okay, cool. So let me know if I'm too loud. I'm gonna step back sometimes stuff. I'm from a very loud family, okay? Let me say thanks to Faiza and Wendy for having me, and everyone for having me as well. I want to say what's up to the Barrios Unidos sisters as well. Barrios Unidos is very close to my heart. My organization, some years ago, the Triumph program, which was It's an I don't want to explain too much and well, I'm going to get myself in trouble anyway, so I might as well say it. I'm going to get myself in trouble anyway. So I taught, for 10 years, I taught a program that taught high schoolers in Oakland of all ethnic backgrounds and gender identities, etc. Critical theory, feminist theory, history of globalization, and the history of social movements. So I taught that every day for 10 years to 170 students a day. And what we would do is do a lot of crazy stuff. And one of the crazy things we did was take a great field trip to Barrios Unidos many years ago. And it was such a beautiful, beautiful trip that Barrios Unidos actually made the first t-shirts for my program. And so you have students, a couple hundred students rocking this t-shirt for the Triumph program, actually made by Barrios Unidos. And I was inspired so much by Nane Alejandros when I met him as part of a fellowship I was a part of. And I only had one Latino student in my first year of my program. Everybody else was black. And that Latino student's named Justin Bojorquez. And he was like, dude, when we gonna do something and see some Latino people? So I was like, you going to Barrios Unidos? And it was dope, yo. It was fly, yo. Man, fly. So anyhow, I'm just gonna speak really briefly. Hopefully I don't put you to sleep. I try not to put people to sleep because no one wants to spend their time listening to somebody that put them to sleep, or they could be on their phone, or they could be, I don't know, on a date. I don't know what the hell. Maybe some of you are on a date, which would be a kind of cool date, but then maybe not. I don't know. Depends on your taste, I guess. If this was my first date, I'd be like, whoa, she's really intense. Right? No joke.
I really like that.
Anyhow, I guess the basics to that, I'm not going to go through this whole list of stuff, and maybe I will, but the point is that embracing the reality that you have paid to attend an institution that really represents the belly of the beast of oppression, right? So that the University of California, and most universities like it, and certainly not all, but most universities that are public universities interested in having a private clientele with kind of like a privatized agenda, with a somewhat of a radical history that folks have worked generation after generation to uphold on the student, faculty, and staff in, but at the administrative and the regents level, that history the work has been to eradicate that history. Right? So you end up with these spaces in which people are using tools of the master's house, as you will, which is your institution, the books, the online PDFs, whatever it is. This is information, and information is incredibly dangerous, all right? So if you're gonna come here and I'm gonna keep hitting this mic, sorry. If you're gonna come here and partake in this beautiful set of information and this opportunity to be able to study without a gun pointed at your head or without getting beaten up for studying, as so many of our ancestors of color actually had to experience, right? If you get to do that without that threat, then there's actually an exchange, right? There's kind of like a trade-off, right? So it's like you get to come here and then you get the information, but the goal of you getting that information is not actually to make dramatic change, right? The goal is for you to have somewhat of an experience of, I'm trying to say it politely, but the goal is for you to assimilate, yes? And even in a democratic society, that assimilation can sound like a challenge and a contradiction to the existing system. It can sound like that, okay, and that's fine. But the idea is that you're here to learn how to talk about it, right? How to engage in fruitful dialogue about it, how to maybe not lose your cool about it, but actually not to do it, okay? And as a higher ed person now, I can say that, we don't get tenure. We don't get our lifetime access to a job based on our ability to create change. It's actually the opposite. Some people wouldn't consider it the opposite, but I know it's the opposite. We get tenure for being able to model for you what you were supposed to do as a passive observer. And so you end up learning how to comment on, how to analyze, how to generate new knowledge for others to comment on and analyze, okay? And that becomes the tumult of your success. So that you look at folks and be like, wow, I want to be like them. I want to go study people doing shit and sound like I know what they're doing so other people can say I know what they're doing even though I ain't doing shit. Right? Now, that does not define or adequately articulate all professors or people in higher ed. I'm saying that is what you are rewarded for. That's not what professors and everybody does, per se. You have a lot of active folks in academia that go out and do the work every day. And they do the work with their people in mind every day, okay? But they're not rewarded for that, okay? So likewise, you're not going to be rewarded for being a transformational agent, right? You're not going to be the person that gets accolades, at least from the institution, for being the person that makes change. Because remember, the institution thrives off of the lack of change, right? It thrives off that. You know how I joked just a few seconds ago? A good school is a white school, all right? So, if a good school in the minds of the public is automatically a white school, why would an institution be invested in changing the look of its population? That doesn't make any sense. That's bad for business, right? So you end up looking at these questions of achievement gaps and equity gaps and school-to-prison pipelines and the prison industrial complex and unemployment and all these things, and people walk around literally discussing these things like there is no solution, and it's just this crazy complex problem, which is really strange because it's not really crazy, and it's not as complex in the design. It's actually just complex in the nuanced manifestations of the design as they are enacted through our relationships as we struggle to make sense of injustice while we have just hearts. So it looks complex because we are trying to grapple with the reality that we are part of something that kills. Yet we want to be something that loves and heals. And that is what makes it complex. Okay, so I don't want to get all deep, like too deep, like Matthew McConaughey or something. But the depth is important for us to understand our role then, right? So if we understand, so there's a lot of camps when you start looking at these equity gaps. I'm not going to go into it and sound all like a deep researcher. I don't think I'm a really deep researcher. I'm just a dude from the town. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, achievement gaps, if you look at the fact that African Americans, Latinos, Native Americans, Filipinos, various other oppressed groups do not perform as well at the K-12 level in reading or math or science. It's actually been that way for quite a long time. As a matter of fact, as long as anybody's been keeping track, it's been that way. Okay? There's a great study. One of the authors' last name is Coley, but it's a study, and it's called The Achievement Gap, When the Progress Stopped. You should look it up. It's actually, I think, a report supported by ETS, but you should look at it. And they basically trace the achievement gaps in these areas between the different broad unit racial categories. And what they basically find is that one of the times in the history in which the achievement gap was at its most minimum level was actually around 1988, okay? And for those of you guys that don't know, or for those of you guys that do know that may be invested in some really good golden era hip hop, you'll know that 88 was like the height of the crack era and everybody was getting killed, okay? 88 was actually my freshman year of high school, to date myself, okay? And it was when Oakland was experiencing this high level of homicides, right? Which culminated in my senior year of high school, which was 1992. I was class of 92, so 91, 92. In 1992, Oakland had 175 homicides. I think we made it for number 2 or so in the nation for homicide rate, right? And so during this time, you had these higher scores in reading, math, and science in the country. Amongst people of color, okay? Now, it doesn't mean the gap was closed. It wasn't closed, okay? We're talking about, okay, improvement. Are y'all following this? Okay, I mean, you can't close, don't jump ahead. Don't jump ahead. Okay, so look. Let me just make this quick point. The quick point was that makes sense to me, okay? Because when I started my high school, Oakland Tech High School, 80% African American when I went there. 80% black. There's black people everywhere, okay? Everywhere, okay? All right? I knew every white person.
Because there was like 7 white people out of 1,700 students. Okay? And then, it's Oakland, man. So you got Chinese, Vietnamese, Laotian, all deep in the spot. You feel me? You got every variation of Latino, strong Mexican-American population, but you got different variations. You got strong Chicano population. It was just deep, man. But look, we had 13 foreign languages at that school. 13. Okay? I took the least popular, Japanese. Okay? But I was in Japanese with 8 people. Okay? Well, 8 total. 6 of the other people in the class was black. Feel me? And that was the least popular, okay? And I think the most popular was German. It went German, Spanish, French, Swahili, and then a bunch of others that I don't know nothing about, right? Okay? We had an engineering program. It was drafting. We had robotics, carpentry, auto shop, ROTC, all these different things. We our health academy gave students internships with Children's Hospital of Oakland, okay? All right, and when I got there as a freshman, 88, fools was popping guns, jerry curls everywhere, feel me? Like, it was crazy, all right? Fights was vicious. I was deeply traumatized, of course, right? I lost 3 of my friends to homicide during that era. First person I ever saw murdered was in my 10th grade year. He was a classmate of mine. It was serious business. But when I first got there, all these administrators, all these faculty and administrators, white, black, Asian, didn't matter. Most of them was from Oakland, though. The motto of that school was, "Welcome to Oakland Tech High School. We are a college preparatory high school." All right? And our goal here is to make sure you are prepared for college. And every year, we had the college board. And every year, we had colleges from all over the country coming to recruit us. That includes Yale, Harvard, Princeton. As a matter of fact, I got into UC Santa Cruz. I was juiced, and Catch was like, "Oh, that's cool. You got to a UC. Such and such got into Yale." Be like, "I thought he was selling dope, though." And Catch was like, "No, that was his brother." You know what I mean? Like, "Oh, okay, word, okay." So, anyway, what was key in my experience was that I was saturated around people that had a high expectation for people that looked like me. Feel me? I wasn't around people that thought I couldn't do it. I was only around people that I was supposed to do it. Okay? And what I'm getting at is that when we start to think about equity gaps, and we start to find tools and strategies and curriculums, and we want to do a special program over here and have a special program over there, and we want to come up with all these tactics, except for the one that counts the most. If you have a racially disproportionate outcome within your public institution, you have to ask about the racism in the people that run the institution. Okay? This is very important because people don't like to talk about racism, and I'm black. So whenever I bring up racism, it'd be like, black people always worry about racism. No, people don't even say that. They'd be like, black people always talking about racism. Why do you always bring up race? I don't always bring up race. Okay? I don't always bring up race. Usually some other shit has brought it up for me, and I'm just going to talk about it. Okay? Like that. No, I'm serious. I went here at Santa Cruz. You be in Santa Cruz, there'll be a class on, I ain't gonna name it because I don't know if the professor's still here. It wasn't his fault. So, you'll be in a sociology class on race and ethnicity, like a social class called race and ethnicity, right? You'll be in a class, and folks would be like, students would be like, you know what, I've been to like the ghetto before, and where I see is a lot of hopelessness, just a lot of hopelessness. Okay, so you'll have a whole classroom of students telling the person of color what their experience is. So then the person of color be like, hold on, man, let's talk about racism. Why are you bringing up racism? Why you always gonna talk about that? No, I'm just saying, because a core part of racism is the invisibility of people of color. Similar to sexism, homophobia, etc. It's an invisibility, but even when it's not an invisibility issue, it's a dehumanization issue. See, if I'm still in a tough spot and I wake my ass up and I get up and go to work, or I go to school, or I save money, or I do whatever I need to get money to go to school and etc., You saying that I ain't got hope? You saying when I come to school, the reason why I'm not doing well is because my family doesn't believe in education? You know how old that racist ass idea is? Latino families struggle because the parents don't really care about education. Are you out of your mind? Your mama got in a BMW and drove your ass to school. My mama rode the bus, 3 buses with me to school, and you think she don't care about education? You tripping, right? So, and all this, of course, is based, it's based in the capitalist system, of course, that doesn't really appreciate human beings in the first place, right? And this all, okay, I'm jumping around. Stay focused there. Okay, so look, this is what I'm getting at, okay? If you find equity gaps in college admissions, in college enrollment, in college graduation, same with the high school, middle school. If you find that there's equity gaps in these institutions, all these are manifestations of a larger gap that exists in society for a reason, right? It is the extension of social stratification. It's not strange. Schools were not developed to empower the working class. What are you, crazy? Schools were developed to give the working class tools to function, to develop capital for the elite. Okay? That's not about empowerment. Right? That's about functionality. That's about assimilation. Oh, for real? Oh, shit. Okay. I'm running out of time. So hold on. Let me just get to the point. Okay. So this is where we're getting at. Okay? So, in order to interrupt these things, all right? And I've mentioned this before, and I think I mentioned it here before, because I say it sometimes, particularly when I come up here. I love this place to death. I love this place to death. I love UC Santa Cruz, okay? But whenever I go somewhere, right, and I see just hell of white people and hell of wonderful, beautiful Asian people, and I don't see a lot of black and brown people, I get upset. You know what I'm saying? It ain't nothing personal. Feel me? It ain't nothing personal. It's just a reminder of how the structure works. Y'all follow me?
Yeah.
I mean, it ain't nothing personal, like, you know what I'm saying? But so the thing is that we want to think about these different ways of interrupting this massive system, right? I got a lot to say, but I only got a few minutes, so let me just throw it out there, okay? The ways of interrupting the system, right? So you have these 3 modes, right? These 3 modes. I've mentioned them before. I don't know if you heard them before, but it's all right. So 3 modes of how governments, states, and folks working on behalf of those entities, how they interrupt social movements, right? It's direct attack, it's appropriation, and it's infiltration. Those are the 3 main types. You can look throughout history, you'll find these things, right? Appropriation is, we're going to take what you're doing and make it ours and water it down. Yeah. Y'all follow it? Okay? And then infiltration is sneaking in and tearing your ass up from the inside, right? And then direct attack is good old-fashioned police brutality, militaristic action, things of that sort, right? Okay, so what we want to do, and this is where I get in trouble. I get in trouble for this. I might get fired. They're going to fire me at some point at USF. But the point is, you take that strategy and you just flip it, all right? So your approach to destabilizing and dismantling these institutions have to include all 3 of those things. Okay, so you want to appropriate what they're doing without assimilating into their ideology. Yes? You want to use infiltration, which is critical, which is what no one talks about. Everybody talking about we're going to do direct attack, we're going to protest, we're going to burn the shit down, we're going to do it all. And by the way, protesting, all that stuff is dope. That is one of the tactics, okay? But don't forget about infiltration. You've already successfully gotten here. So the question is what you about to do with that. Okay? I'm fine with you going to Wall Street, but what you about to do with that? Feel me? I'm fine with you having a business, starting a new .com, having your own IT company. All that's dope, but what you gonna do with that? Okay? If you can infiltrate those spaces, now we're talking about a full-fledged dismantling effort, okay? And when people protest, they can do it in a couple ways, right? I mean, a lot of ways, right? You can do sabotage, just tear some shit up, right? You can do vandalism, like I'm gonna mess it up a little, you feel me? Right? Or you can do what I strongly advise against, which is terrorism, right? And historically, remember, the reason why most organizations do not pursue terrorist activity is because you are doing your action to gain support from the public. Once you start harming citizens, you're actually defeating your own purpose of gaining public support. This is why historically a lot of folks do not advocate for terrorist activity, not necessarily just for moral reasons, but strategically it doesn't make any sense. this is why sometimes you turn on the news and they call certain protests violent, even though ain't nobody getting hurt. What they're trying to do is distract you from the reality that people are using sabotage. Okay? And you want to be able to distinguish between sabotage and violence. You got to do that strategically. Don't let me go off on that because I go off on that forever, okay? But in closing, so I can let y'all go ahead, okay? I had all this stuff, sorry. Is this making any sense?
Yes.
Okay, so what we want to be mindful of in closing, okay, is that when we do take these actions, okay, we want to be incredibly thoughtful, plan it out, strategize in great detail as to the impact we want. I heard that somebody shut down Highway 17 or something, right? Yeah. Okay? And then I heard that there was some petition to get them expelled or something. Yes. Okay. Is anybody at Santa Cruz, UC Santa Cruz, signing that petition? That's crazy. I mean, I don't know. Look, I don't know what happened, so I can't really speak on it. Feel me? I can't really speak on it, you know what I mean? Because I don't know what happened, okay? But be mindful of that dynamic. Are y'all following this? I'm not saying that you got to win everybody over, but you want to be mindful of that dynamic. Like, yo, I mean, I remember my boy starved himself at the entrance of UC Santa Cruz in protest. I ain't going to say his name, but he starved himself, chained himself to the signs and stuff. We was down there giving him soup, tenting up with him, making sure he was all right. And I wish somebody would ask for his expulsion. Man, I don't know what the hell going on in Santa Cruz now. Feel me, Richard? But, hey, I know Richard, I ain't gonna bust you out, Richard. Richard OG. But I ain't gonna bust him out. But you want to be mindful of strategy, your technique. And never forget that you don't have to be some big-time, in the front, yelling activist to make change. Okay? I'm gonna shut up. Where Pfizer at? I'm sorry, Pfizer. I'm shutting up. I promise. It's not about that. Look, the matrix operates through you, right? The matrix operates through you. If you are preparing, arming yourself to reject the program while simultaneously taking action to liberate those who love you, you are in essence an activist for change. Okay? If you are moving through UC Santa Cruz, it wasn't I had a professor tell me that I shouldn't be in sociology because my people like me, are in American studies. I mean, I had that happen, right? And I had some racist stuff happen here, but a lot of the uncomfortable stuff happened between students. You know what I'm saying? Talking about how I snuck in on EOP. Oh, you got in here because you black. Well, you got in here because you white. What you talking about? Like, you don't know what the hell I went through. They giving up slots for people of color. No. See, you just tripping off the fact that you even believe that this spot was yours before you even applied. Like, you tripping. And by the way, dodging bullets, not getting stabbed, making it through some fucked up educational experiences, and having racists everywhere doesn't constitute me sneaking in. It means I fought to get in. What you do? Feel me? So we want to be mindful of that dynamic in us. It's in us. And it's work we got to do, right? And it's trial and error. You're going to fuck up. You're going to say some things that ain't cool. You're going to say some stuff and you're going to offend people. That's all right. You've been programmed by the matrix to disseminate its plan, so that's going to happen. So the idea is, are you apologetic? Are you remorseful? Can you listen to the person you hurt and get wisdom and knowledge off of that and improve yourself? Because this institution will not give you courage. You don't get a degree in nothing but memorization, regurgitation, and obedience. Okay? So, thank you all. Thank you all for having me. I wish I could go on forever, but I'm crazy, so you don't want to hear that. So, thank you all. Y'all have a good evening. Appreciate it.